It's Blake. Welcome into episode number 61 of our WWE 2021 Save and TEW 2020. This is SmackDown for week 2 in November. We continue the road to Survivor Series and the Mae Young Classic as well, which will take place pretty much about a month from now. Of course, week 2, December, but we've got Survivor Series before we get to that, and things will start to come together for Survivor Series on the SmackDown side, at least starting on this episode. Of course, we've already got some matches in place, but we are on the road to it, and yes, some more matches will be made here, starting with this episode. But let's jump in. This is the pre-show with the Viking Raiders getting the win over Dio Madden and Jackson Riker, 7:05:53 here. Not a lot to say about this. It's the Viking Raiders who, as we've used kind of, frequently on the show, but they're just kind of slotted in the, the nice little mid-card spot, but otherwise, no real storyline plans for the Viking Raiders right now, as, we kind of just use them to play off of other people like Sami Zayn and others. So, Viking Raiders get the win here. Not much more to say other than that, because we have a lot to get to on this episode. So, let's start it off, and it begins with the Usos, who are in the back, and they are going to this table that we have seen Roman Reigns sit out for many weeks now. We're used to it, right? Like, we start the episode, everyone's used to it at this point. Roman Reigns seated at the head of the table, and yet the Usos come in, Reigns is not there, and we know last week, there was still some frustration with Jay needing to get a win to kind of prove himself. Well, he got it, but there's no Reigns here. So the Usos go in, they're a little stumped. Where is Roman Reigns? Usually, he's been there every single week, and he's not there. So this gets an 80. Jimmy and Jay working really well without a script. These guys are just getting so much better. They have just been, exciting to put in some of these scenarios, because just being associated with Reigns, they're getting so much better. And I love where Jimmy and Jay are at, and certainly, as you could probably guess, we have a lot to come with these two based on the stories we've been building with them. This is good stuff. 80 to start off with, but the big question: where is Roman Reigns? Well, we're not going to find out here, because Charlotte Flair gets the win over Tamina, as this is our first match on the show. 7:15, figure 4 gets it done. 61 overall. Charlotte still being penalized for being in extremely poor form. This has been the case our entire series to this point. We did, give her basically a couple months off where she didn't do anything after that loss to Bianca Belair. Back at, when was that? July, maybe? Somewhere in there. Was that August? I don't remember. But we gave her, some time away. We're bringing it back. She now has a match. First round of the Mae Young Classic. She doesn't know her opponent yet. We'll get more into that next week. Charlotte will have something to say about that. But on this episode, this is just basically to give Charlotte a win. I would have liked to put a promo here somewhere, but as you'll see, this was such a stacked lineup of things we needed to get to. There just wasn't a whole lot of place to put it on this. So this was just, giving Charlotte a win, and you'll hear more from her next week about her mystery opponent at the Mae Young Classic. And then it is Bianca Belair, because speaking of the Mae Young Classic, Bianca is going to have another match with Dakota Kai, which we saw recently as well. Belair says, look, she's already beaten Dakota Kai once. She has proven that she's better than Dakota Kai, and she will do that again at the Mae Young Classic in the first round. And Bianca says when she does that, she'll just keep going right along until she wins the Mae Young Classic, holds up the prestigious trophy, and she says she's already got a big prize in mind for this whole pick your prize stipulation. Of course, remember, if you watch Raw, the winner of the Mae Young Classic will get to pick their own prize. And as I mentioned on that, I'll keep repeating it. The reason I'm doing that is because if I say it's for one thing or another, you will probably it will make the tournament more predictable. If I just spell out what the prize is going to be for winning this. So I'd rather leave that as sort of a mystery, because then that leaves the possibilities of who's going to win. It becomes a lot more unpredictable. So I like doing that, and I thought that was from the start, that was kind of our goal here. I wanted to make this a tournament that was very unpredictable at times, and I think by doing this, we're going to push that, Bianca and some of these other people, they know exactly what they want if they win, but they're not going to tell you what that is just yet. So I think there's some fun and the added mystery to that. But Bianca gets an 80 here, delivers a great promo. And then it is Sami Zayn. This is going to be a a bit of a show-long story here, and you guys know I'm having fun with Sami right now. So Sami Zayn is in the back, and he is giving a speech to Apollo Crews, which this is basically Apollo Crews just sort of sitting there in the back in the locker room, and Sami has himself a sliding whiteboard. So you know one of those boards that are kind of on wheels and just kind of slide it. You use the marker and you're just kind of drawing, and it's almost like he's a teacher here. Well, Apollo's sitting down. Sami is giving a speech to Apollo Crews about the fast count at No Mercy and his match against John Cena. As we know, Sami lost by submission. He did not lose via pinfall, but that does not stop Sami from making it clear to everyone that there was a fast count in this match at No Mercy. So everyone is just kind of viewing Sami as delusional at this point. Apollo Crews is shaking his head. Sami continues, though. He's got the marker going, like he's just got all these different, conspiracy plot points everywhere. And he's pointing out all these different reasons why there was a fast count. And so the whole time, Apollo's just kind of staring at him with a blank stare. Sami has just got this over-the-top theatrical reasoning as to why there was a fast count. And then finally at the end, Sami says, all right, Apollo, I know you appreciate all that, but I can't stay longer to continue this thread. I've got to go talk to more people. I've got to get my message out there. And, Sami's just pushing that he hates to leave Apollo here because he knows Apollo wants to hear more. But Sami has other people to reach about this conspiracy that happened at No Mercy. So Sami walks out with his sliding whiteboard on wheels, and he is wheeling it out of the locker room. And he continues his path here to, I guess, achieve some sort of conspiracy worldwide with Sami. So 65, Apollo doesn't do well without a script here, but that's okay. Maybe we should have scripted this, but I think Sami's one that when we try to script him, he doesn't like it. So I probably just decided not to. So 65, it's fine. It is what it is. But Sami, not done yet, I promise you. And on the next match, we get the team here, Enigma. We've called them Jeff Hardy, Ricochet, get the win over Baron Corbin and Jinder Mahal, 12-29 on this one. So it gets to 65. I don't know if we've had Baron Corbin and Jinder Mahal team before. You guys may know better than me, which I should know, but I assume I probably threw them together as a random tag team at one point. But I don't even know if I remember that they had excellent chemistry. But clearly they do here, so that helped this match, and it gets to 65. So we already know what we have with Ricochet and Jeff, and as you guys have seen, this is an example of me sort of adjusting the booking on the fly. I don't like to do that a lot, but in this scenario, when we saw we had the chemistry with these two, it gave me some ideas, and we're starting to push towards those ideas, and you'll see them play out probably over the next couple months here with what we're going to do with Jeff and Ricochet here moving forward. But they get another win, so they're continuing to build up their winning streak here as a team, and they're looking pretty good thus far. So 65, I'll take that with these two getting a win. And it is Sami Zayn. He is walking through the back with his sliding whiteboard on wheels, and the Usos are searching for Reigns, and they are trying to, and see, here's what I'm talking about. Like, Jimmy struggles going off script. He did fine earlier, but he doesn't do that here. He gets a 72. But they're walking through the back trying to find Roman Reigns because they want to know what's going on here. Where's Roman? Meanwhile, Sami crosses paths with him, and he's got his board, and Sami just stops him, and he goes to get his marker out, and he's ready to start drawing up this conspiracy theory for them as well. But the Usos just basically look at him like he's, they have no idea what he's doing, and Sami's getting ready to draw this, and the Usos just walk past him. So they just essentially ignore anything Sami Zayn has going on, and that doesn't make Sami very happy. So what does Sami do from there? Well, Sami continues along his journey. As the Usos are walking one way, Sami's walking the other way, and Sami just sliding his little board down the hallway here. And then he finally enters another room, and it is Damian Priest, who is getting ready for our main event, which, by the way, pretty big main event here. Damian Priest versus The Miz. So The Miz's first match back here is going to be in our main event against Damian Priest. So a really, big match here that we're promoting. But Sami also tries to give Damian Priest a speech here. So he's like, Damian, I've got to tell you something. Look, I know we haven't always seen eye to eye, but I've got to tell you something because I don't want this to happen to you. You've had a lot of success here recently, but I'm telling you, they're out to get you. They're out to get you, Damian, and this is all a big ruse. They're playing you, putting you in these main event matches and all this. So Sami parks the board, the big whiteboard. He gets his marker out. He's ready to start drawing again, and Damian stands up and just walks over to Sami Zayn and tells him to get the hell out. And Sami is not happy about this, And Sami is just trying to plead, look, you need to hear this. They are trying to screw you over. But Damian keeps walking another step towards Sami, and he is just staring right over him. And Sami is not happy as Damian pushes the whiteboard out of the room. So he opens the door, throws out the board, and Sami is not happy about this development. His precious whiteboard has been thrown out of the locker room, and so that's that. So 68 here. Good stuff between these two. But Damian has other things to think about other than Sami Zayn and this conspiracy theory. So, and then, meanwhile, we saw that Sami Zayn was going the other way after his little interaction with the Usos. The Usos were going the other way, and it is the Usos who run into The Rock. Now, we had that little brush between the two here recently, as you know, where the Usos were leaving the ring, The Rock was going into the ring, kind of had a mini stare down between these factions. Of course, The Rock faces Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. The Usos are aligned with Roman Reigns, but The Rock is right there, and the Usos just start shaking their head. They know they've run into the wrong person because they're searching for Reigns, and they know not to ask The Rock where Reigns is. But The Rock says to them, look, we're all family. Like, everyone's family here. Like, this is all about family. Everything's going on. He wants to know why. Why are Jimmy and Jay letting Roman Reigns control them? Rock says he's been sitting back, watching these guys over the years, supporting them, wanting them to have a lot of success, and then he looks up, and they're aligned with this egomaniac, Roman Reigns, who thinks he's at the head of the table when everyone knows that the head of the table belongs to one person in the family, and that is The Rock. And The Rock just wants to know. He says, give me a reason. Why do you continue to let Roman Reigns control you? And Jimmy and Jay don't really know what to say. They don't know how to respond to the question. But it is eventually Jimmy who kind of steps up to The Rock and says that he needs to get out of their way because they are looking for Roman Reigns. And The Rock just kind of gives him a little stare, moves out of their way, and then as they're walking off, The Rock says, I just want to know. I just want you guys to think about it. Why do you let Roman Reigns tell you what to do? Basically talking down to the Usos here. Trying to figure out, are they just, did they just not have it? They just want to let this guy control them, all this other stuff. So it's kind of The Rock planting some of these things in the Usos' heads of what is the reasoning behind this? Why are they actually doing everything that Roman Reigns tells them to do? Why? What's the reason? And Jimmy and Jay don't really have a good answer. So 83 overall here, good stuff. Again, we're putting the Usos with the top stars here, and it's only helping them from a popularity standpoint. But the seeds kind of planted here. What's next with this whole group? Is The Rock getting to the Usos now, only a couple weeks away from the big match at Survivor Series? And then it is Asuka, who is backstage getting ready for a match she's about to have as she and her tag team partner, Kairi Sane, will be in tag team action here. But Asuka cuts a promo. She has her attention on Becky Lynch, who, of course, is going to be her first-round opponent in the Mae Young Classic. And Asuka, she says that she's ready for Becky, but she doesn't know if Becky is ready for Asuka. And that is kind of it. Like a pretty sweet and simple promo here from Asuka to, start hyping up this big match she's going to have a month from now with Becky Lynch in the first round of the Mae Young Classic. And speaking of Asuka, that leads us into a tag team match as it is. Asuka and Kairi Sane getting the win over Eva Marie and Nia Jax, 633. Asuka pins Eva Marie, 66. I mean, actually, that's probably better than I would expect it, to be honest with you. Just because these two we don't really use a whole lot. But I forgot that Reginald was even still, I guess he's still managing Nia Jax. That shows you how much we've used Nia Jax at this point. It just hasn't been much. But as you can expect, I mean, Asuka was clearly head and shoulders above everyone here, and this was just a win to give Asuka and Kairi Sane a little momentum heading into the Mae Young Classic, or so we thought, because after the match, here comes Shayna Baszler and Sonya Deville, who jump Asuka and Kairi Sane and start just a beatdown of these two. 63, pretty good stuff here. But this is, of course, to play up. Sonya's first-round opponent is going to be Kairi Sane. So this is the champs who, as you'll kind of see here, the tag team titles, we're not forgetting about them, but we just have a much bigger focus right now, and that is the Mae Young Classic. It's kind of, the same on both tag team fronts. I know maybe it wasn't ideal to do it that way because, Kofi and Xavier Woods, who are men's champions, they're kind of occupied with the Big E stuff with Omos on Raw. And so our champions they're not really, focused on their title defenses right now. They're more focused on other things. So I think it's okay. I mean, this is kind of one of those points in the year where we just have a couple different angles going on that kind of takes them away from defending their titles regularly. But as you can tell, though, we're kind of setting the seeds here for something, perhaps between these two teams in the future. We'll get to that at some point. But Sonya getting the upper hand on her first-round opponent, Kairi Sane, after that was announced here recently. So they continue their dominance here, and another beatdown. We'll see what's next. And speaking of the tournament, we are just playing this up. Like, we are all into this. I told you guys, I really want to make this tournament a huge deal, and we are starting the preparation a month away. Meanwhile, as we know on Raw, it was the Rebels, Toni Storm, Liv Morgan. They invited Alexa Bliss and Raquel Gonzalez, their first-round opponents, to Raw next week. But Alexa says they're not going to do what they want them to do. They said if they want a piece of them, they can come to SmackDown next week. That's that. They're not coming to Raw. They're going to do it on their terms. So if Toni Storm and Liv Morgan want to if they even want to have a match, if they want anything, come on over to SmackDown. They'll be waiting on them. So that's kind of a setup here. They did have Dakota Kai with them, but Dakota Kai just kind of standing in the background. Not a whole lot to do with this, and it gets a 62. So Raquel, she struggles going off script. That's not a surprise either. But again, Alexa's one of those that usually wants to not be scripted, so we just do that, and we want everyone to kind of be on the same wavelength. So there you go. 62 overall. It's pretty. This show hasn't really, hit too much yet, but we know this is kind of a show we're building up a lot. We got Survivor Series, we got the Mae Young Class, we got a lot to build up. So that's kind of the focus here. And speaking of that, two big promos coming up here. Drew McIntyre. We get a video with Drew who says that, everyone wants to know. Everyone keeps asking why this changed with Drew McIntyre since everything started with Bray Wyatt months ago. He lost to Bray Wyatt. He's beaten down Bray Wyatt, but he's also had Bray Wyatt beat him down like he hasn't been beaten down before. And McIntyre says, he just can't turn his back on what happened to him after the beating that he took from Bray Wyatt. And he just can't let it go. There's something inside of him that has changed. As he keeps saying, he has embraced that dark side of him, and that he's going to have to do that to beat Bray Wyatt, and he will not stop until he does beat Bray Wyatt. And that's exactly what he's going to do at Hell in a Cell when these two go at it at Survivor Series. I am just thrilled about this match. So we get a promo here from Drew, gets an 85, great stuff. And then we immediately cut to another promo from Bray Wyatt, also another video promo here. This gets an 86. And Wyatt explains that all he keeps hearing about Drew McIntyre is that he's now embracing his dark side and that he has to get his revenge on Bray Wyatt. Well, Bray says he learned a long time ago that once you're able to control the emotions of someone else, they become your master. And Bray Wyatt says that he is the master of Drew McIntyre's soul, and that is what he's done. He has taken over Drew McIntyre's soul here, and that he has looked deep down and knows that all there is in there is a bunch of black. Is that darkness that Drew McIntyre sees? Well, Bray Wyatt is going to bring that out of him at Hell in a Cell. But he says, Drew, you know that there is no one that has more black in their soul than me. And the darkness, he said, yours may come out, but everyone knows that it's going to come out of me as well. And we've seen it already. Bray Wyatt pretty much sends a message that Drew McIntyre better be careful, because when it comes down to it, in a battle between these two in hell, Bray Wyatt says he's been in hell before, and he's not afraid to go back. And that's exactly what he's going to do at Survivor Series. So, two good promos here, great ratings. This match is just building and building and building. The tension has been there for a while now, and we're going to get the blow-off at Survivor Series. Hell in a Cell. It can't get here soon enough. This is going to be a lot of fun. So, there you go. And then it is Keith Lee, who is in action. Non-title match against Riddick Moss. Keith Lee gets the win, 10-16. Used the Spirit Bomb here, 57. I mean, I didn't have a lot of expectations for this, but we just wanted to give Keith Lee a match here on the card, and he just gets a nice win. Really, this match was there to serve the next part, which is after the match. Keith Lee comes back, and he comes back and sees Mick Foley standing with Samoa Joe, and Foley makes it official. At Survivor Series, it will be Keith Lee defending the Intercontinental Championship one-on-one against Samoa Joe. 70 overall here. Everyone does well for the most part in this one. We've been teasing the tension here, too, between these two. Of course, at No Mercy, it was a triple threat, but it was Lee beating Nakamura, and Joe basically saying, I got my match, but I didn't get my match. I didn't get my singles match with Keith Lee, and so we're going to get it at Survivor Series. Keith Lee, Samoa Joe, one-on-one for the Intercontinental Championship. So, another big match added to the Survivor Series card between these two. This is another one that should be a lot of fun in terms of just the match quality here. I think these two could deliver a really great match. But Foley says, I made it official. You guys go do what you need to do. But Foley says he has some other business to take care of tonight. And he leaves, and we have these two once again just kind of staring each other down, building that tension with them. And then, before our main event, it's The Miz, who says that Damian Priest, his return match here, he's not worried about Damian Priest because he says all Damian Priest is a wannabe. He's not The Miz. He's this person everybody keeps talking about as this true, star and entertainer and all this other stuff. Miz says there's only one of those people, and it's not John Cena. It's not Damian Priest. It's The Miz, and he's going to prove that for everyone that wants to talk about how The Miz, can't wrestle and all this other stuff, he's going to prove it tonight against Damian Priest that he's just better than him, and he's better than John Cena, and that is what exactly he's going to prove tonight. So that's your setup for the main event. The Miz versus Damian Priest. Big main event here between these two. Let's see what happens. And a really good match here. This is an 80. I'll tell you, I did not expect this to hit the 80 mark. That's surprising to me because we see here in-ring performances, 72 from Priest, 70 from Miz, but this hits an 80 because these two guys are very over at this point. And yeah, I am very pleased with this. But it is Priest getting the win over The Miz in 17-21. So a long match here after The Miz was disqualified because Sami Zayn runs in and attacks Damian Priest, and that leads to the DQ. You guys know I don't love the DQ finishes, but this was one that I could kind of, you could make it understandable as to why it happened after everything that happened with Zayn and Priest earlier. And so Sammy runs in, attacks Damian Priest. That gets the DQ. So Priest wins by DQ 80. I am very pleased with that as the main event. Just for kind of a one-off match here, just in our main event spot. So an 80 here, but that's not over because afterwards you got Sami Zayn and The Miz. They're going after Damian Priest. You know what's next. Here comes John Cena. John Cena comes out and he makes the save for Damian Priest. He and Priest get the upper hand on Miz and Zayn, and they clear the ring as you've got Miz and Sami Zayn retreating while John Cena and Damian Priest stand tall in the ring. So we continue the Sami Zayn conspiracy theory, 83 overall here. Good segment. And yeah, this is going to set up some bigger things to come. You'll see where this is headed next week. We'll have much clearer definition of what you're going to get involving these four next week. So there you go. That is your main event match and a big angle there. But we are not finished because there's something Mick Foley said he needed to get to, and by God, he's going to get to it. And it is The Rock coming out to address Roman Reigns, and The Rock says that, he keeps hearing all this talk about Roman Reigns, and he's heard Reigns, last week say that, now it's time for business. He's done with everything else. All his focus is on is his Survivor Series main event and defeating The Rock to officially retire The Rock and to never allow him back in his ring again. And, The Rock says he's heard all this and he's got something to say. But before he can say it, here comes Mick Foley. Because Mick Foley also has something to say as Foley comes into the ring and Foley starts talking up, the history between him and The Rock, their friendship, all this other stuff, the battles they've had, They've been on both sides of each other. But at the end of the day, Foley says his priority is The Rock. He cares about The Rock, and he needs to make sure he's looking out for The Rock's best interests. And though this match has been made official, Foley says he didn't really want to make it official under the condition that it's under. He did not want The Rock to put his entire career on the line here because Foley says he's not 100% sure The Rock can beat Roman Reigns. And of course, the reaction this gets, The Rock's a little confused here. Foley doubting him seemingly. Why is he doubting him? And Foley says, look, Rock, you're great. You're one of the best that's ever stepped in the ring, maybe the best that's ever stepped in the ring. But he says, I am telling you right now, I have been the GM on SmackDown for months, and he's seen firsthand what Roman Reigns can do to people. And he says he just doesn't want to see The Rock be that person on the other side when Roman Reigns does what he does. And again, with a career on the line, Foley says he just doesn't want it to end this way. And so this is Foley, basically wondering, is The Rock good enough to beat Roman Reigns? Can he beat this Roman Reigns? And The Rock's kind of left wondering, he's questioning, why is Foley calling him out? He's seen what he can do. And, The Rock says he's not worried about beating Roman Reigns. The Rock is the head of the table. He's the one that set the table for Roman Reigns. And he just kind of comes back with, Mick, I appreciate your friendship, but I'm going to beat Roman Reigns because I have to. This is about more than the title. It's about more than anything else. It's about family. And Roman Reigns says he needs to put a stop to it because it's affecting the family. And he's going to do that at Survivor Series. So The Rock says he's going to, basically put an end to Roman Reigns. Meanwhile, Mick Foley's not sure. And that doubt is kind of setting in for Foley. So we've got an interesting dynamic here between these two. And we'll see this play out over the next several weeks. But, kind of interesting that Foley's questioning Rock here. But just as these two finish, The Rock comes back with his, emphatic response. We cut to a video, and we see Roman Reigns is in the gym, and this guy is training like an absolute maniac. He is doing push-ups. This guy is just like jacked. Like he is working out. He's jacked. Paul Heyman standing behind Roman Reigns, and we just see Roman Reigns doing his training. Heyman standing behind him, and then we see in front of Roman Reigns a video screen or a TV screen, whatever. And Reigns is watching The Rock and Mick Foley in the ring have this, shaking hands after their little exchange they had. And Reigns is just getting bigger and stronger, and he's just, his training's getting harder as he's watching this. Roman just, get an 84 here. Would have liked this to be a little bit better, but it's just basically Reigns just, basically doing whatever. But we're kind of setting the table here that this is Reigns. He is focused. Like, anyone that had any doubt about Roman Reigns being focused about this match, this is what we're saying. Hey, Rock and Foley are in the ring talking, that's great, but Roman Reigns is in the gym and he is working. Like, he is training for this match, and he's watching everything that's going on. So, while the Usos were looking for him, no one knew where he was. He's exactly where he needed to be, getting ready for this huge match, the biggest match of his career at Survivor Series. So there you go. There's the finish, 84 overall. This show gets an 82. Good stuff. Built around, again, a lot of different little threads that we tied together, set up some stuff for Survivor Series. But the big thing is, perhaps some people doubting whether The Rock can beat Roman Reigns. And meanwhile, Reigns is getting ready for this match. And so, going to be huge. But let's see what we get to before we wrap up. All right, so SmackDown, excellent, strike gold. What else we need to look at here? Oh, Orange Cassidy kicked out. Oh, no. Best Friends kicks out Orange Cassidy. Oh, boy. You don't want to do that. That guy he's going to turn it up a notch now. You thought he was lazy before. Just wait. All right, so Orange is kicked out there. Anything else here? Nothing really exciting. These are just extensions for people that are already there. I don't want to complete those because I think it's Riddick Moss and someone else. But I don't want to complete those because there may be something that I forgot about that'll go to that afterwards. Let's see. Taichi. Oh, man. Taichi is available. Should we sign Taichi? That'd be an interesting one there. I'm a big Taichi fan, so we'll see about that. I'm going to leave that there. I don't know that we're going to be bringing Taichi in, but he was just I think I shortlisted all the top stars in New Japan. So that's why that's here. SmackDown gets a 5.70. Good stuff there. So yeah, that's SmackDown. I mean, we are rocking and rolling. We got a lot still to get to on the build to Survivor Series, and yeah, you kind of saw some of the teases with everything we're building. More matches will get announced, both on Raw and SmackDown for Survivor Series. But yeah, we got a lot of big plans in place, and it should be a lot of fun with that and the Mae Young Classic, a couple weeks away from each other. So yeah, we got a lot to build to. So as always, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all of that. And yeah, I appreciate the great feedback as usual. And like I said, hopefully we're starting to get back into sort of a regular flow here on the channel. January is kind of busy from a work standpoint, but yeah, we're building to Survivor Series, and so it's a lot of fun and a lot of great stuff on the way. But on the next episode, it will be Raw for November Week 3.